Next question comes from Sputters789. Do you think that Lance Cade deserves the big push that it looks like he's getting? As far as I'm actually somewhat of a fan of Lance Cade, but I will say one thing: out of all the people from the Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy, he's easily the worst out of the 5 that actually made it. Obviously, most notably, the best one that made it out there is Bryan Danielson, Paul London and Spanky. And then you had Michael Shane, which Michael Shane was a great wrestler, but he's basically fallen off the wrestling landscape. I don't even know what he's doing right now. So, possibly, if they follow up with this thing of Lance Cade saying he's the greatest wrestler that ever came out of the Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy, if they followed up with something like Paul London, that could really give Paul London some time. Or, have it be someone like Michael Shane, because Michael Shane obviously is related to Shawn Michaels, and it would really, make the feud be good if they would go that route. But Lance Cade, I don't know if he deserves this push, but out of the people from the Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy, because I'm thinking in the way WWE thinks, which WWE's not going to really say, this guy deserves a push because he's a great wrestler. WWE's like, okay, this guy, is he going to work for us, and is he going to be able to work the WWE style? Which Lance Cade, out of those, is probably the one that would be able to work the WWE style the most. And, when I saw him, that obviously, out of all them people from the Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy, which one would WWE most likely want? It was probably going to be Lance Cade or, possibly Bryan Danielson, which still is obviously we don't know if that could happen because hopefully he'll stay with Ring of Honor, but we're not sure about that at all at this point. Next question comes from RBD Fan 100. Why does WWE put the smaller superstars on ECW, big tall guys on SmackDown, and the big names on Raw? As far as the smaller talent on ECW, I know a lot of people are thinking that Vince is doing this and creative is doing this to bury the light heavyweights and cruiserweights or whatever you would like to call them, X Division types, and bury them on ECW. But pretty much not doing that. Most of the reason why you're seeing the smaller wrestlers on ECW is because pretty much, a lot of them are coming up from the developmental, and some of them will make sense working on that brand to possibly get on there and then do some good stuff on there, then get on to SmackDown or Raw, which ECW is pretty much a developmental company, and pretty much WWE is at some point going to have to realize that you're not going to be able to put all your backing behind these muscle build wrestlers like Batista for too much longer. WWE's going to have to figure out at some point they're going to have to go with the like the smaller wrestlers, the wrestlers that actually can go and work in the ring. As far as the big wrestlers on SmackDown, the reason why I would say you got the Big Show and Khali on there is probably for the most part SmackDown out of all 3 brands is the one that's probably targeted to the younger audience, for the most part, even though WWE pretty much somewhat tries to target all their stuff to the younger audience. But SmackDown in particular, I would say they do that because, guys like the Big Show and guys like Khali, and I guess obviously you call Undertaker a big man, but Undertaker's actually a big man that actually can work in the ring. So, but, Big Show and Khali, they're just like attractions. They're like, young kids are going to be like, whoa, look how fucking tall he is, and it's going to just get a pop out of that, even though, WWE at some point is going to have to stop doing that. It's just like, Andre the Giant from back in the day. It's just going to be, they're built all, they get a push because of their size, obviously. And as far as the big names on Raw is the flagship show of WWE, so it's going to obviously make good sense to put the big names on Raw. But now with the draft, you actually got some big names on SmackDown that actually can draw. You got you got Undertaker probably returning on there. You got Triple H, Edge is somewhat of a draw, and you got Jeff Hardy, which Jeff Hardy is a pretty good draw, even though I don't think he deserves the push that sometimes he gets in WWE and all the chances they give him. He is a draw for WWE, I gotta say. Next question is from Instant Classic G1. Do you think that the Brent Albright angle with Larry Sweeney is good? Definitely, I think it's a good thing for him because as far as Brent Albright as world champion or even a contender, I thought he had to get away from Larry Sweeney for that to even happen at some point in the future. So definitely it's a good thing for him. And, you know, anyone that was at the Hammerstein Ballroom show when Brent Albright turned face, that pop was very loud for him. So definitely, you know, they started caring for him then, and hopefully they do some good stuff with Brent Albright. Definitely been a fan of him ever since I saw his stuff from OVW, then his stuff in his brief stay on Smackdown, and then ever since he debuted in Ring of Honor in October of 2006, I've been very high on him, and definitely he's a great talent. And do you think we'll see a Davey Richards and Albright feud sometime in the future? It could possibly happen, obviously, with Davey Richards now joining up with Sweet and Sour Incorporated. It's obviously most likely going to happen at some point in the future, but at this point, Davey Richards is going to be on a extended time in Pro Wrestling Noah. I don't know how long his tour is going to be in Noah, but obviously it's not going to happen anytime soon. Hopefully, you know, within the next few months, a feud like that will happen. Albright, I see already, you know, by the end of the year, he's definitely going to be a top contender for the heavyweight title. And at some point, I see within the next year, he should definitely be world heavyweight champion. I know some people might think I'm going too far with that, but he's a great talent, I would say. Next question comes from Doom Guy 2000. What are your thoughts on December to Dismember? Was it a good pay-per-view? This was easily the worst pay-per-view of all time. Anyone that hasn't seen this pay-per-view, thank God you haven't seen this, because this was easily the worst pay-per-view of all time. This was, you know, some people might say, you know, it was a car wreck, which basically it was, but it was not a car wreck like you wanted to see. It was a car wreck that you're like, okay, what the fuck is this? It was one of those pay-per-views that after you saw it, you're like, let me shoot myself in the fucking head. It was that bad. Not a good pay-per-view at all. Probably one of the worst pay-per-views I've ever seen. You know, it was obviously built up not to be a good pay-per-view anyway, because all we knew before the pay-per-view aired, we only knew the Elimination Chamber. Now, there were some things intriguing in that match that could possibly spark interest. You had CM Punk and RVD in the ring, so I wanted to see them two work. They really didn't live up to that and didn't do that. Sabu was going to be in the match, which a match like that, I wanted to see him in. Then they did the angle with him getting taken out of the match. I forgot who he got replaced by. But if they would have done something on the route of RVD winning this match, even though the rest of the pay-per-view sucked, you could have built up, you know, a great angle with one of the angles that I wish would have happened before RVD was gone from WWE was a RVD versus CM Punk feud. You could live off, you know, RVD's 420 style against the straight edge style of CM Punk, and it could have worked out great. And obviously, this pay-per-view is one of those pay-per-views. It's not even worth downloading. That's how bad it is. It's not even worth downloading. It's not worth checking out. It's easily the worst pay-per-view of all time. If you haven't seen it, just thank God you haven't seen it. Next question is from ROH fan 1120. Let's see. Do you think that Loki will ever come back to Ring of Honor? I know that him and Gabe had a falling out. Just want to know your thoughts on it. Obviously, I would like to see Loki back in Ring of Honor because he's a tremendous talent. Hopefully, it happens at some point. I don't think him and Gabe are going to have this feelings between each other last so long. I think sometime, you know, Gabe's going to figure out, you know, what's good for business, and a lot of fans would like to see Loki back in Ring of Honor, and, you know, definitely it'd be great to see. You can have some new matches he hasn't even had, and, you know, you could, you know, have him and Danielson again, you know, him and Nigel would be great for the world title. You know, just a lot of good stuff you could see if he returned to Ring of Honor, and a lot of, you know, first-time matches that I would love to see. I'd love to see him and Albright, him and Davey Richards. That was good, you know, at the Ted Petty Invitational. I like to see it done again because definitely they delivered good there. So low-key working in Ring of Honor, I would like to see. I gotta say, sometime in the future it's going to happen. Cause I don't know how long him and Gabe are going to have these feelings between each other. Hopefully, you know, Gabe will just figure out, you know, what's good for business. Now, I know Loki had an attitude backstage, so if he comes back and has the same attitude, you know, all you have to do is just get him out the door and, you know, just choose not to ever book him anymore. Just if you're not sure how he's going to act, don't push him too high up on the card. Give him, you know, somewhat of the attraction match instead of a match to, you know, build up something as far as a storyline.